Oh, goodness. So many things I want to share this morning, and just praying, Lord, would you just help me to get away from all the fluff and just say what you want to say this morning. Just love you, Lord, and I love what you're doing in us. Amen. So a number of years ago, I went to and I've told you this story before, but for some reason I felt like I was supposed to tell it this morning as I was sitting here. Went to a cigar shop with a friend of mine to have a cigar and just kick back and relax, because that's what you do with cigars. And while we were there, a couple of guys were there, and other guys were there. And then a couple more guys came in, and they said, hey guys, you can stay here if you want, but we're going to have a Bible study right now. And so we're going to turn off the TV and stuff, and we just need to let you know that we're going to be doing that here. Now you can just sit here and listen if you want, or there's another room, another part in the lounge, and we could go there. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So they were going through, I stayed, because I hadn't ever thought of doing a Bible study in a cigar shop before. Because for me, I tried to hide my cigar smoking for a while, because, a lot of people tell me it's not Christian, because Jesus never smoked cigars. But I just know he invented them, so no, it's holy smoke, and that's why I do it. Anyway, while we were there, they were going through Matthew, and they were going through Matthew 9. And I was reminded of this as we were in worship. And I just want to read this to you. Because honestly, that day in my life set me on a new course. It impacted me and continues to impact me in a way that I can't completely explain. And I can tell you that it's impacted me in a way that it's been messy, painful, it's been expensive, it's been all of that stuff. It's been time-consuming, but it's become the most joyful season of my life. And here's what we read that evening. Matthew 9, verse 36 through 38. Seeing the people, he felt compassion for them, for they were distressed and dispirited like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore, beseech the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into the harvest. I think sometimes we talk about revival like it's something that's coming. We talk about revival like it's something that we're waiting for, we're praying for, we're believing for. Revival, when it comes, it's going to be awesome. And I just have to say, I don't think that that's what Jesus is saying. Revival's waiting. It's waiting for us. Seeing the people. He felt compassion for them because they were distressed and dispirited. Distressed, I had to look it up while we were sitting there. Extreme anxiety, sorrow, and pain. They were distressed. Seeing them, he saw that they were distressed. They were dispirited. That's a loss of enthusiasm or hope. This is what Jesus saw when he looked out among the community that he was in. And I want you to notice, he doesn't say, pray that something will happen to them. He says, listen, the workers are few. He says it to his disciples, pray that the Lord of the harvest will raise up workers. There's so much work to do. One of the things I've been feeling lately is I don't have enough time. Everywhere I go, I'm finding there are people that are hungry for hope. I mean, really hungry for hope. I spoke about a little girl I met last week because Megan is in jail, and in jail, you think, well, how could God have purpose in jail? Well, this girl comes by and sees Megan, and they get to talking, and then Megan says, you need to meet my pastor, and then I get to go to jail, and I meet her, and she's just this amazing young lady that's been on drugs since she was 12 years old. Her testimony, her life, you listen to it, and you just want to weep. And she just sat there and cried the whole time we talked. Now, Megan was a lot of work. Every week I go to see Megan, I leave money on her books. That's just me. That's not the church. I do that because I love her. Now I leave money on two people's books. It gets expensive. It's time consuming. I spent a whole day waiting for, her name is Amanda, for her court date. I got there at 8:30. And I had all kinds of appointments that I thought I'd be able to make, and I wasn't able to make any of them. One we had to push back that I was able to make, but it was 3:00 before they ever called her. And I was there all day. And I was the only one left in the courthouse. She was the very last person called. And you know what? It made it all worthwhile when I saw her walk through the door and into the gate, and the first thing she did was look to see if I was there. And then she smiled. Guys, I'm not even on notes right now. I'm just telling you from my heart. Guys, we have people out there that are hurting. They are distressed. And we can't just sit and pray for revival. I'm sorry. We can't. Because Jesus has already answered the prayer. He's already answered that prayer. He said, you are the revival. Go into all the world. See, he says, I've given you the message of hope. I've given you hope. It's not about praying for it to come. It's already here, and he's waiting for us, those of us that believe, to literally just go out. And I'll tell you, it's not hard finding people that need Jesus. It's just not hard. And so I've been doing a lot during the weeks of just being with people that don't know him. And then just trying to pray, God, okay, I don't know what to do really, but I'm just going to love on them. And I just know that, Holy Spirit, I'll do my job, you do your job, and this is going to be really, really good, and it is. So I can tell you in my life right now, I was talking to him the other day, and I'm just like, I've got more joy in my life than I've ever had. I can't tell you. It's like I'm really, really tired, but I want to go out and do it some more. You see, I believe that as you give away the love that God has given you, I mean, listen to this. He said, inasmuch as you've done it to the least of these, you've done it to me. If you want more of God, then go to the least and give it away and love on them. Because what happens is it's almost like you feel his joy in his presence that comes on you in a way you never, ever felt it. That's me. I've never felt this before. It's like as I give it to people, it's him, literally him going, thank you, and just giving it back to me. And so I just have a ball with it. I get tired. I don't have enough hours in the day to do all that needs to be done. The fields are ready for harvest. The workers are few. We've been talking a little about practical evangelism. We're in the middle of a series called Practical Evangelism. And we started, a few weeks ago, I talked about why Jesus came. He came to seek and save the lost. That was his primary purpose for coming, okay? That's number one. And then what does he do? He calls his disciples and he says, follow me and I will what? Make you fishers of men. In other words, I will teach you to seek and save the lost, to do what I do, fish for men. And then when he gets ready to go home to the Father after he rises from the dead, about 40 days later, after meeting with them more and meeting with all kinds of people, he meets them on a mountain and he commissions them. See, that's where revival began. That was the commissioning for revival. That was now, the workers are few, go now out and begin to harvest. It wasn't pray more for revival. I don't mind praying for revival, but here's how I pray for revival. Father, the workers are few. Would you call more out into the field? Would you take them out of the pews and out of the chairs and out of their own looking at themselves, and would you cause their eyes to be centered on other people and to see that there are people that are distressed. So we've talked about how sometimes we think, well, it's not my calling. Yet that's exactly what Jesus called us to do. We think, well, it's not my gifting. And it never is talked about as a gifting when we talk about evangelism. And I think some of the reasons that we don't go, and we talked about this as well, is that we're kind of embarrassed because in the past we've had all these cheesy programs and stuff that, even we, if you're a believer, you were a little embarrassed by, and campaigns, and you can only imagine what unbelievers felt when it showed up. It just wasn't real, right? It just wasn't real. It was this contrived program that tried to get people to do what? So, as I was praying this week, I wanted to talk to you about being authentic. Last week, Brandon spoke about seeing people, about making a conscious decision to do something. He said, when you see someone, you now have to decide each time, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And you're going to either pass them by or you're going to stop and do something. You have two choices. When you see someone, you get to make those decisions. And so Brandon talked about that. And then I talked a couple of weeks ago about what it's like to go fishing, if you remember being fishers of men. And I said, first of all, you have to go to where the fish are. Second, you need to understand the fish's tendencies. You need to get to know people, okay, which takes a lot of time. And it's not always convenient, but you get to know them. And then you need to be aware of your presentation to them. See, our presentation is probably the most vital thing that we have when it comes to people accepting or just, what's the word, acceptor? Rejecting, thank you. Couldn't get it. That's why I have a wife. Or, you know why I couldn't think of rejecting? Because she never rejects me. And so it's like, she's always receiving me. So the other side, I hardly know rejection. No, whether they receive or they reject the message, it's almost always on presentation. Almost always on presentation. And so I want to look at a little closer at presentation this morning. A few years ago, Andre Agassi did a commercial for Rebel cameras. And at the end of the commercial, there's this wind. Remember, he had the long hair, and there's this wind blowing in his long hair. And he says to the camera, he looks into the camera, and he says, perception is everything. And I thought, well, perception. Do we really live by perception? Do we really chase after things like perception, being perceived as something? And so I thought, we go ahead and show that video now.
High Karate Aftershave, Just one whiff drives women wild, makes men irresistible. High karate aftershave. Be careful how you use it.
I loved that commercial growing up. Do you know what I did? I went out and bought High Karate. I did. I really did. I went out and I bought High Karate because I believed if you use a little too much of it, you are irresistible. You are. And so wouldn't that be awesome? There's this perception. That's what all commercials are this way. Watch commercials. They'll say, if you have this, then there's a promise, right? There's always a promise with it. But what's interesting is a promise is never reality. Now, what's also interesting for me is a lot of people try to live in kind of their perception of something. I see this in the church a lot, okay? They've been told, okay, you've got to do this, you've got to look like this, talk like this, jump like this, you have to have this vocabulary, you need to learn all these weird things, and then you're like us, and then you're going to have everything you want. You're going to be joyful, and all this Christian life's going to be, all your problems are gone. I remember people saying, just receive Jesus and all your problems are gone. Okay, and you know, I got to tell you the truth. I received Jesus and I still have problems. I still have problems. Perception, it's not reality. But it really is kind of how people want to interpret reality to be. Okay, and so I find that life inside the church and life outside the church, we tend to present ourselves in a certain way, hoping to be received and believed. I don't care if you're a Christian or not. It's like, oh, I'm an individual, but I look like all my friends. We all dress alike, our haircut's the same, all of that. We talk the same, but we're individuals. That's why we do this. Okay? We do that outside the church, and we do that inside the church as well. We want people to believe that everything's good with us. Everything's good. Our lives may be falling apart, but you would never know it by looking at our Facebook. Our marriage, it may be on the brink of failure, but when we come to church together, no one will ever know by looking at us. We put on a perception. We want people to perceive something that may or may not be true. And this is why I love watching commercials. You see, it's important, quite honestly, that we as Christians learn to be authentic. Number one complaint. I was with somebody last night. He said, Don, I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't come to Jesus because of all the love. I came to him because something scared the hell out of me. I got scared into the kingdom. He says, quite honestly, when I looked at Christians, I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to be like them. I didn't want to go where they went. I didn't want to be like them. And now he is. He's an amazing Christian. But can I tell you the truth? He doesn't go to church. Why? Because he doesn't like the religiosity and the face that people put on in church. We tend to live this life. I'm not everybody, and I'm not being super critical of it. I think our church is different than most. He has visited here, and he did say your church is different. He really feels the love that you guys give. But I'm talking about people in general going out. First of all, they don't even see us. They don't, because a lot of Christians don't spend time with non-Christians. They don't. Some don't even know non-Christians, which is like puzzling to me. So I'm going to actually, right here, I'm going to say this. I want you guys to try and sit down and figure out 10% of your time. I want you to tithe your time. Come on. I want you to tithe 10% of your time to hang out with non-Christians. Just 10%, okay? Look at your day, look at your week, and say, okay, how do I carve out this about how many hours I got that I'm awake? Now I'm going to take 10% and I'm going to hang out with non-Christians. Now I don't want you to be too Christian or what you say is Christian in front of them. I want you to get to know them and get to love them and listen to them. Don't try to save them yet, okay? 10% of your time. I'm getting so away from everything here. I have no idea where I am. Being authentic. So what does authentic Christianity look like? There's two things. First of all, be real in your actions. To be authentic means to live your life in a way that backs up your claims. If you want revival, back it up. If you're claiming that revival is here or coming, then go and bring revival. Don't sit around and pray because God's already sent you for it. He's answered the prayer. Now it's time. So, live in a way that backs up your claims. Be hearers and doers of the word. Now, that's really hard, honestly. Come on. You come in here every week and listen to this big, fat, bald-headed, ugly guy get up here who can barely talk and tell you things. You're hearing things, okay? But I will be honest, if you're like me, and I even get up here and talk, sometimes people go, what'd you talk on this week? I go, it was something out of the Bible. Yeah, something out of the Bible. Be hearers and doers of the word. Do you go out and practice it? Just go out and practice it. That's what I'm asking us to do as a body of believers. Okay, so live what you say and believe. Jesus says this in Ephesians. He says, you are the salt of the earth, and if the salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. If we're going to be salty Christians, Jesus calls us to be, then it takes steps of self-examination. If we're going to be who Jesus wants us to be, guys, it really takes time. We have to stop and say, okay, who are we really? Who am I really? Okay? I want to examine that. Am I really living what I claim? Or if you don't know God, who am I really? We're not going to go anywhere until we're honest with anything, until we're authentic with anything. So you live what you believe. Self-examination. See, people are looking to see if our beliefs and claims are congruent with our speech and our actions. I've had friends that I went to high school with. Every time I go back for one of our reunions, the last one was 40, I literally have friends come up and say, I had one come to me last time, a guy named Mike, and he says, the reason I'm a Christian is because of you. I have watched your life all of these years, and you still believe it. And I looked into it, and he accepted Jesus. That, honestly, somebody tells you that, you're going, really? Literally watched me. You see, I really do believe what I say, and I try to live it out. This is what a quote from a guy named Bill Hybels. If we want to have the kind of impact that salty Christians should have, he says, Jesus said we need to be, or that Jesus said we need to be, we're going to have to first take some preliminary steps of self-examination and be willing to make any needed character adjustments. We must start by making certain that the way we're living backs up the words we're speaking. Authentic identity. We have to live what we speak. And I'm going to now just jump forward because we're about out of time. Here's another thing that, can I just tell you, just gets my goat. We have to be authentic about how we feel. We have to be honest about our struggles. We have to be honest about our pain. You see, because the world has no hope if all we have is we say, oh yeah, God will take care of that. You have no empathy, no experience, but you have to deny it because you're told by certain teachers that if you feel that, it's a lack of faith. So don't say that. Don't speak that. I got a call from somebody this week. I don't think they're here. I'm really depressed, Pastor Don. I said, okay. No, I'm really depressed. And I go, I'm so sorry. I know what depression is like, and it's no fun at all. But I'm not supposed to be depressed. Well, why not? Because people tell me that if I'm a Christian, I'm not supposed to be depressed. That it's a lack of faith. And is there something wrong with me? We want to sometimes just deny what we're feeling. Guys, let's be authentic. You see, this is what I like about us. God made each of us individual. I guess he sat down. I don't know, I kind of picture him sitting down. He says, okay, I'm going to now make dawn. And so he sat down. And he pondered for a very long time. And you know what? And each one of us, you're uniquely designed. You're not deficient. God formed you. And when the world tells you or someone tells you that you should be someone other than yourself, you know what I say about should. See, the word should is often what it is it's like, okay, you should do this. In other words, for you to be acceptable, for you to be, I don't know, a real person, you should do this. For you to be a real Christian, you should, and can I just tell you, I get calls every week. Or I meet with people every week that are just devastated because of the shoulds in their life. Just devastated. And well, maybe I need to do this because so-and-so told me I have to do this and so-and-so said I should look like this. And it's like, no, you're unique. There's no should in that kind of thing in your life. You're unique. God made you that way. He gave you your character. Gave you your personality. He gave you all that you are. And please embrace what he has done. He has made something special. You know, I think about people like this week. These people came to mind. Caitlin. And do you know there's something unique about Caitlin that is unique to Caitlin? And here's what Caitlin told me early on. She said she wanted to work with poor children from the time she can remember. Yeah, now, that doesn't make much sense to me. But that's what drove her and continues to drive her. It's who Caitlin is. It's something that God put in Caitlin. I think about Brian, the guy that she married. And what I'm learning is Brian is a guy that seeks adventure. He had to if he married Caitlin. And Brian gets really excited about new things. If you're ever with Brian and there's something new like earthworms, Brian purchased some earthworms. And he woke up in the morning and he's kind of tossing around and Caitlin looks over and says, what are you thinking about? And he looks over and he says, I'm telling on you. Is this okay if I tell this story? Okay. If not, I'll cut it off and everyone will wonder. So Brian's kind of tossing around. It's early in the morning and Caitlin goes, what are you thinking about? He goes, oh, I'm thinking about how much I love you, honey. And she goes, no, you're not. You're thinking about the earthworms. and he had to go quickly to go see the earthworms. That's Brian. That's unique, okay? I don't know a lot of people like Brian. See the uniqueness in us? Brandon, he's designed to organize things. Brian, it's just how he works. Brandon, it's how he works. He's unique. And I love having him on staff because he has all the things, not all of them, but many of the things I don't. You're unique, all of you. Aaron, he's unique in his passion. Seriously, he's unique and he's expressive in his art and in his music. See, God designed him that way, and he designed each one of you just the way you are. It doesn't mean you're perfect. No, it doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you don't deal with the things in your life that you need to deal with. But it does mean is, guys, you got something no one else does, and God gave it to you for purpose. And the purpose was to share it with others that need it. There are other people out there that need hope. And what you've been through or what you're going through, when you share real, authentic life with them, it brings them hope. I struggle with depression sometimes. I remember the first time I came home, Kelly says, "How you doing?" And I said, "I'm depressed today." And she goes, of course, she thought she did something wrong, right? What I do? No, you didn't do anything. I'm depressed. And I'd never told her that I get depressed. Okay, but I knew, okay, I'm depressed today. And I know from experience that I may not be depressed tomorrow, but it's okay if I'm a little depressed, because eventually I'm going to be okay. Okay, and when I am depressed, I can talk to people now about it. Okay, and I don't want them to tell me how to not be depressed because it's a lack of faith. I want them to go, "Man, I'm so sorry. I worked through that kind of stuff too. It's just not easy. Thank you." That brings me hope. You see it? Anyway, Jesus was a man of sorrow, acquainted with grief. He knows everything we feel. He was honest about it. He was authentic. You see, when people tell you if you're a Christian, you should never be depressed, angry, sad, hurt, or show lasting signs of grief, these are all signs to me of shallow faith and a lack of trust in God. Not appropriating what he has accomplished for us on the cross. You see, for the follower, there is hope. No matter what you're going through, there's hope. So what do I offer people that are being harassed, who are helpless? Hope. If we don't bring it, who will? Suicide's going off the charts, lack of hope. I don't want to sit and pray about suicide anymore. I want to go out and love the person who's just about there. I do. Guys, this is life and death. And so I'm now begging you, as you go, take the hope that is in you. See people. Make the decision when you see them. It doesn't have to be a big thing. I saw a guy the other day. I could tell he was homeless, and I have these gift cards my daughter gave me for Taco Bell. And I just walked up, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" We talked for a minute. I go, "You hungry?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I have this gift card. I just want to give it to you. It's $10. There's a Taco Bell right over there." And that was it. But you know what? He had hope for a meal. And someone saw him. I won't continue on. I don't want to preach too much. See, Jesus created you to be unique. So I'm going to encourage you, please, be authentically you. Okay? And please don't put your stuff on someone else. See people the way they are and love the uniqueness of who they are, who Jesus made them to be. They don't need to be like anyone else. They need to be like the person that Jesus created them to be, and they need to be encouraged to be more and more and more free to be who they are. And then they live your life in a way that you're congruent inside and out with what you do and what you feel. Be congruent. Let people see you. Is that all right? I'm sorry, is this like too heavy? I didn't laugh a lot. Guys, I'm so encouraged by you guys and what I'm seeing happening. And some of what you're hearing this morning is just, for me, I'm tired. And I think that Jesus was tired when he turned and he saw the crowds. It's just too much. And so he says, please pray that God will raise up people, that they will see that that is what they're called to do. Now, that they would go and see the field is white for harvest, guys. It's so white for harvest. So I won't go on. I could get going on something else. Father, we're going to close with this. Father, I just got to tell you, I love what you've done in me since that one evening in a cigar shop. And how you showed me that we don't even look at the fields. I don't even look at the fields. I don't look for them. And now, Lord, you're opening my eyes to the fields. And in the last year, this field of people who are homeless and people who are on drugs and people who are in jail. And Lord, I thank you that you've entrusted your message to me. And then that you've entrusted your message to all of us here. To go and bring hope to a world that is distressed. To go and love people that really don't know love well. And that don't trust well. That we could go out and love them. Father, I thank you that there's a group of people in this room today that you're sending out in their uniqueness of individuality and however and wherever they go. Lord, I just pray that you will use them. Just let them see someone. And then, Lord, I just pray that you would unleash their uniqueness on those people. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.